I track every single dollar this week. So here's what I spent in a week as a 40-year-old living in Atlanta using the cashless budgeting system. So here is my budget workbook. This is my expense tracker. This is where I write down every single transaction that comes out of my account. Now, I have several different banking accounts I like to separate my money into, and once that money comes out of that account, I like to put it into a different category. So the reason for the highlighters is that is a certain categories. I like to budget using budget categories. I have 7 different budget categories that I actually use, and that just helps me stay focused with the amount of money that I want to spend in that category, because if you have too many categories going on, it can get a bit overwhelming and you don't know exactly what you have going on. So let's get right into my budget category, starting off with my first category, which is my savings. Now, I use what is called a cashless budgeting system, meaning that I just don't handle cash. I use checking account, debit cards, those types of things like most people, use. Maybe you just haven't heard of the cashless budgeting method, and that's pretty much what I'm going to be explaining. So for my savings, I have my retirement, investing, and my personal savings. So for my retirement account, every single time that I get paid, money comes out of my check and goes into my retirement account. What I put to the side was $108.76 into this retirement account. Also, with my investing, the same thing happens. Money comes out of my check and goes into my investment account, which was $113.79. And then money is now actually deposited into my checking and savings account, because before I don't see the retirement money, I don't see the investment money. I don't have to physically transfer that money over. That is money that actually comes out of my check pre-tax, and it goes directly to those accounts. Now we are ready to get paid, and then we're ready for money to hit our account, and the very first thing that happens is money goes into my savings account. So according to according to my goal for the year, which is $6,500, I have to take out $250 every single time that I am paid in order to meet that goal by the end of the year. So $250 went into my savings account, and what I like to do is I like to have my savings in a separate bank from my main spending, because what I realized when I had it all in the same bank, when I spend too much money in that checking, it's going to pull directly from my savings just to make that balance zero. And I didn't like that. I was always pulling from my savings back to my checking because I was going overboard with my budget. So now I have my savings in a totally separate bank inside of a savings account. And that has literally helped me not be able to touch that money, go in and move money around and things like that. Absolutely love that. I would definitely recommend you putting your money inside of a high yield savings account. I will link some in the description box down below just in case you are interested. The next category is my home category, and inside of my home category is my house and utilities. That is actually in one account that I share with someone. So we have a joint account and money goes inside of there. We try to send the money on the first of the month, but sometimes it don't always happen like that. But the goal is to have the amount of money that we set aside for that account in that account by the 5th of the month. So I put $17.50 inside of the house and mortgage account, along with I had to pay my life insurance, which was $13. So the total spent in my home category this week was $1,763. The next category is food, and y'all know last month I went over my budget in the food category. I called myself budgeting $200 for food, and I ended up spending like $300 and something on food. So this month I'm changing things up a little bit, and I'm putting the food on a credit card. It may not be the smartest thing to do, but in my mind it's like, okay, if I take it out of my main checking account, maybe I won't overspend if I put it directly on a credit card. So I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna test it out. I used to do this way back then when I was in an apartment, and it didn't work. Not even gonna lie, it didn't work back then. And the reason why it didn't work back then is because I had started saving for a house, and I needed to just maximize the amount of money that I had. and I had to just pay minimum payments on credit cards, and so I can get up the money for the house. But now that I have the house, hopefully I should be able to pay the balance in full by the due date and just get it on out of the way. So I'm budgeting $300 this month, since I realized that I went over budget last month, and this week I ended up spending $18.33. The next category is transportation. Inside of my transportation is just gas. This week, at least this week anyway, because on my birthday month, I have to pay registration and all that type of stuff. And it's not my birthday just yet, although it is coming up. Again, dang, it just seemed like my birthday would just happen. But anyway, it's coming back up. But this week, I only spent $20.30 on gas. And I'm back in the red car. And if you've heard me talk about the red car is cheap when it comes to filling up the gas tank. However, sometimes I have to fill it up multiple times depending on how much I'm driving, because it has that digital dash. It seems like it goes really, really, really quick, but it is affordable to fill up. The next category is subscriptions. And this week I spent $9.99 on subscriptions, and it was my Google storage, I think it was, or my iPhone storage. iPhone storage, I think it was, because it was $9.99, and I paid for a 2 terabyte of storage because I'm a content creator, of course, and I use my phone to create videos, and a lot of time my storage ends up being full. Just like when I was recording this video the first time, it ended up getting full, and I had to delete some things off and start all over with this video. The next category is debt. And speaking of debt, y'all just heard me say that I used the credit card to pay for food, and guess what happened? A bill came out because I still have it set up on automatic draft, and $25 came out for the Capital One card. And I was like, Capital One? I haven't used Capital One in so long. But I forgot that I used the card for food, and now the payment was due on the 3rd, and they actually took their money out, and I was like, oh my God. See, now I got to get back in the habit of knowing when these due dates is and stuff like that, because I was so focused just on this Discover credit card and my Navy Federal credit card that I share with someone. That has been my focus, because that has been like the biggest credit card. So I don't know how this month gonna go with this credit card stuff, if I'm gonna stick with this, or if I'm gonna just maybe use a different checking account for it. I don't know. Let me know y'all suggestions in the comments. Like, I'm really thinking about putting all of my main bills inside of the main checking account, and then having another checking account for like my food and my gas, and that way hopefully I won't go over, because it's not going to be attached to nothing. It's just going to have just a checking account, no savings for that. So I don't know, I'm thinking about doing that, but right now for this month I'm just using the credit cards in lieu of checking accounts. The next category is fun/miscellaneous. Now, inside of this category, usually it is planned spending. So anything that I have going on for that month, things like that. So for the month of June, first of all, it's my son's birthday. Then I also give myself like $100 for fun. I've been trying to buy me a new wig or either get my hair done, but it just has not been happening. So those are like a few things that I have planned for this month. And guess what happened? $294.12 was already spent this week in the fun/miscellaneous spending, because my son decided to get on my phone and buy whatever it is that he bought. I don't exactly know. It just says Apple. And I do know what he bought. It was like Roblox stuff. I don't know anything about Roblox. That was something that he does at his dad's house, and I guess he done came home and started doing the same thing. He has done this before, spending money, and it's just upsetting. So I told him for his punishment, he knows that this is his birthday month, that is gonna literally probably be the money that you spent is probably gonna just be your birthday money. So we may not even have a birthday party, we may not even do anything. Don't hold me to it, because you know how we always say we're not going to do X, Y, and Z. Then we end up doing X, Y, and Z. But I really have to teach him a lesson that you don't go out spending that type of money, because that could have been very important money. So with the money that he spent, it was $234.63. And that is the reason why I always have to keep money rolling over. Not for that situation, but you just never know what may happen. Just say, for instance, if I would have had just enough money to pay my mortgage or whatever like that, and he goes and spend that, then I would be in the red, or I wouldn't have enough money to take care of my mortgage payment and stuff like that. So that's why it's so important to have like savings. It's so important to have a backup plan just in case everything don't go according to plan, or just in case you go over budget in something, or just in case an emergency happen. Hopefully you won't have nothing like this happen to you that happened to me. Keep your phone on lock. Also put your apps on lock. That's what I have done now. My apps got passwords and stuff like that. So hopefully I won't have any other issues when it comes to just this. But the total spent this week, I gotta add everything up. Hold on one second. Let me add everything up. So the total spent this week as a 40-year-old living in Atlanta using the cashless budgeting system is $2,603.29. That just blows my mind. Like, that is so much money. I'm only budgeting what, $3,800 for the month, and majority of it is already spent at the beginning of the week. It's already spent. So let me know in the comments, what are your suggestions to, me doing different checking accounts, savings account, or using this credit card. And if you are interested in seeing how I set up my monthly budget using the cashless budgeting system, I'm gonna link it after this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.